So in front of you, you should have our content marketing framework wheel. And this essentially is a checklist that can move you through creating a content marketing strategy. And it's just effectively a framework for you to use. And today I'm going to touch on the process that we have from motivation through all the different layers. And feel free to look at the wheel as you go through and take it away with you. So our framework moves you from motivation into data insights to inform the strategy, to create the content, and then what's really important is actually constructing the outreach and distribution right from the beginning. Now the key elements are motivation, and getting that right ensures that you deliver a return on investment. Some people kind of just create content with a vision of, we need a video, we need an article, and without the motivation, without the return on investment centred in the middle, then you don't deliver on your expectation.
Helene, can I just ask?
Yes.
An outreach?
Yes.
What do you mean by
So outreach in terms of influencer marketing, and I do go through it actually, and on here if you look you've got outreach, so you've got ambassadors, publishers and influencers, and both mainstream and niche. And that's effectively involving collaborators, people who are industry leaders, people who are passionate about your particular topic, and involving them in the content. And this effectively will help you to springboard the success once you do launch it. And it's effectively trying to make sure that you do have the impact that you're looking for, rather than just creating something and it doesn't actually achieve any reach. So before we go into the process, there's a kind of a fundamental thing I want to cover first, and that's identifying your customer profiles. And effectively you can split this into two parts, so customer personas and understanding the customer journey. Understanding those elements will really help with going through the process. So this is just a handy tool which is free to use. You've got yougov.co.uk and it's profiles, and it will help you to profile your target audience if you don't already have a really clear idea of who you're talking to. Now it could be that you really already know that, and that's perfect, but this and other tools out there will help you to define more clearly the types of, and there's actually lots of more information that you can see, what they read, where they shop, what their household income is, and it's a really helpful tool. What's really important when you're building your personas and understanding your customer is brainstorming around these areas. So understanding what their key goals are, what their behaviours are, and then based on what their goals are and their behaviours, what you must do and what you mustn't do. And this is an opportunity to really fine-tune where you're going to achieve success and where you should really steer clear of. So at the end of the day, you should really build a very clear picture of your target audience. Now I recommend you have between 1 and 3, potentially 4 key audience, and you name them. You get really specific so that you can say one is John, he lives in this location, his occupation is this, and this really helps you to sense check whatever it is you're creating. And it's not just from a content marketing perspective, this can go out through all of the different marketing areas. But what's interesting if we just go back one, what's interesting here is understanding the channels that John will be viewing online. So is he using social media? Is he searching online? All of those, and understanding that at this level is really helpful. And then this is understanding the customer personas. Next we go on to understanding the user journey and mapping out your customer journey. So this is the typical user journey. We've got awareness, consideration, purchase, service and loyalty. Now these are the different channels from a marketing perspective that you can market to and reach your customer. So at this point where you've got your persona, you'll want to check at what stage do they go through the different user journeys, and where do they have the different touch points that you can place your content and put it in front of you. So that's really helpful just as a background to sense checking what you're going to do going forward. So there's so many things to consider. There's the right audience, the right channel, the right budget, the right method, the right tool, the right strategy, and of course lots of things can go wrong. So I'm just following on from Sarah's highlighting of some of the common mistakes. Now, one, companies isolating their content marketing from their other marketing channels. Now this I see quite often, where they have silos of their marketing. Now, it's really important that this should feed into everything. If you're going to have a content marketing strategy, you should tie it into social media and SEO so that everything is singing from the same hymn sheet. And if you do it correctly with the data and the insights, then you can make sure that your targeting is correct for every single channel. So content for content's sake, that's having flat content with no emotion, that is literally just churning out something that doesn't add value, that really is not going to benefit somebody and it's not going to do your brand value any good. And missing the valuable element that we're going to talk about today, which is the SEO value, or even being detrimental. If you create something that's really thin, it can have a negative impact on the whole of your site. Not monetizing, so this effectively is leaving money on the table. You've got a fantastic opportunity to monetize with your content, and sometimes companies can create content and not understand the value and not tie it into a more holistic marketing plan. And not informing the strategy with data, which is why we've created this process, so that you do target your audience, that you know the KPIs that you're going to measure it by, and that you build in the return on investment right from the very beginning. Not collaborating with others to springboard and increase organic performance. So this is the outreach piece. This is where you will connect with influential people or people that are passionate about the topic that you're going to write about right at the beginning, so that when you do create it, you can involve them, or you can share it with them to say, this is on the topic that you're really interested, would you like to promote it? And distribution, this is I see quite often. This last element from a content marketing perspective is often left off the table, and therefore people are expecting something to happen at the end of it. They've created this amazing piece of content, whether it's a video or a campaign, and then it doesn't do anything. So it's really important to recognise that there are a few more steps to making it successful. So this then takes us into the process. So we've got the 5 pillars, we've got motivation, data, strategy, content creation, and then outreach and distribution. So motivation, the first one, this is the fundamental. It's really important to understand from a user perspective as well as from a brand perspective what you're trying to achieve. But at the same time, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So it's really important with any content marketing to understand what's the emotional element, what you're trying to engage with, so that they will find value within the piece. And so how do we do this? So as you look through the wheel, you'll be able to see on the 2.2 the data and analysis. And this effectively is understanding the target audience, doing your keyword research so you can find out what types of search volumes, what queries are they saying, understanding your customer persona, what communities are they in online, and what is the social sentiment. And then analysing this, looking at the competition. What are they doing? What are they doing well? What are they doing badly? Are there any opportunities and gaps? What does the data say in terms of topics? Is there any topics that people are actually asking questions around that you could answer? And what's the search volume that's related to that? And it's really important when you're going to be measuring return on investment to put a benchmark in, to say this is where we are today, and anything you do from there you can then measure against. Now, how we do this internally at Melt and for our clients is we go through a process within a discovery stage. So we do a series of audits and reviews, and we can build effectively a business case from SEO, content, and then social media. And some of the components of this are listed in the next one. So here are the components of what we often do for our clients. So we do competitor analysis and opportunities, social listening, keyword research, technical SEO audits, and in some cases where people are new to SEO, where they haven't got a solid plan, we build them a business case. So what we are able to do is do the keyword research to find out what are their target audience asking about, look at what their website should be ranking for, and take it from there to where they need to be, and actually factor in what does that look like in monetary terms. What does that look like in terms of traffic? And the more data we have, the more specific we can make it. So pillar 3, this is taking all of that data and insight and turning it into a strategy. So this is how we do it. So you take the data, food and drink, and these are just examples, right? So you've got the data, you've got your keyword research, and then you look at the data and you see what themes, what topics are people talking about. So to make it very generic so that you can kind of understand this, we've put it in here. So it could be top level sport, animals, romance, travel, but specifically for you guys, it will be travel. And then underneath that, you want to look at what are the queries and the topics within that data. And then you overlay that with the user journey that we've just talked about. So do any of these themes specifically move your purchase on, or the user through the user journey in an awareness stage or the consideration? And each stage has an associated KPI. And it's really important to identify at this point, how are you going to measure success and what are you looking to achieve? So awareness, it could be brand awareness. And are you going to measure that by reach or ranking position, for example? And outlining that at the very beginning enables you to measure your success. Now, when you've got this data, you really want to define closely the different themes within it and how suitable they are for the different channels. So you've got the user journey at different stages, and where do the different channels fit within those stages, and where can you have the greatest impact? For example, if you see somebody's asking lots of questions that you think you can answer that in an FAQ, so that's content or text form that could benefit and add value from an SEO perspective. But then that information could be turned into a video, which would then suit social media and potentially PR. So it's really important to see how can you increase your reach, how can you take one concept and push it across multiple channels, and therefore increasing your ability to have success. So within the strategy element, again, this is like a checklist. Have you looked at the channels which are performing? Have you looked at the different types of content? And there's lots of different tools out there to look at and understand. Who's talking about it in your space? Are there key influencers? Is there anybody that you can start involving to see if they want to collaborate? And then the KPIs, this is really important. So what does the return on investment look like for you? Are you going to be wanting to see increase in traffic? Are you looking for ranking? And what does success look like from a content perspective? Is it engagement, or is it chatter? For us, these different elements for our clients might actually combine in a strategic plan, a roadmap, style guide, a content calendar, social media calendar, different recommendations from an SEO perspective. And now this is the stage where you've got your data, you've got your strategy, and now this is where you start putting it into action from a content perspective. So we've got planning. So have you outlined who could potentially be your contributors from an outreach and influencer perspective? Who would be your ambassadors, who like your brand, who like what you're doing and would want to share it? From a content perspective, what type is it? Is it text? Is it images? Is it video? What channels, influencers, and the syndication? It's really important to plan out all of these stages. And then as you're preparing it, these two elements are key, and this is where most of failed content marketing comes from. If you don't get the value proposition correct and you don't put the element of return on investment, which you've already identified back in the motivation. Now that could be as simple as a call to action that's missing from your campaign. It's really important to sense check and say, with what I'm building, is it going to deliver a return on investment for me? And then from an outline perspective, if it's text, is there a topical hook? What's the style, the tone of voice, and is there some further content research that needs to be done? And then publishing, so who's going to publish it? When are you going to? Where are you going to put it? And it's important to tie these up because some of this takes quite a lot of time to arrange. Now, in terms of getting your content seen, this is a really key piece that a lot of people don't have, and it's the last stage in the content wheel. And this is what we touched on with Rachel at the beginning. It's involving influencers right from the conception. So once you've got your idea and you know it's going to be on whatever topic, looking for influencers within the space, whether that's influencers, ambassadors, or publishers, to see whether they'd be interested. But also being aware that you'll have to do some external marketing, whether that's from an organic social perspective, but likely nowadays with everything's monetized from a paid social media perspective. So within outreach, you've got the niche and the mainstream. So niche is really, really fine-tuned down into the specific area that you're talking about. And mainstream is more general. So it could be very broad. And then within those different sections, you've got publishers, influencers, ambassadors. And then for distribution, it's outlining your paid promotion and your organic promotion. Now, whenever you create a content marketing strategy, I really believe it should be born out of SEO insight. And the reason for that is so it delivers you a return on investment. And how you do that is through the user queries, the search volume, and it's your keyword research. And this enables you to add value and answer a need of the user. So with this in mind, we believe that a good content strategy has SEO at its core. Now, within the travel industry, that's typically split between informational content and commercial content.